The Whispers in the Dark, the Council of Whispers. In the grand chamber of the Zephyrian High Council, where crystalline walls reflected the light of 1,000 stars, Chancellor Crix stood before the assembled delegates. His tall, slender frame cast long shadows across the polished floor as he addressed the gathering. The Zephyrians, with their pale blue skin and large, luminous eyes, had ruled this sector of the galaxy for over 3 millennia. Their empire stretched across 47 star systems, built on principles of order, logic, and unwavering control. My fellow council members, Crix began, his voice carrying the weight of authority. We gathered today to discuss the troubling reports from our outer territories. Ships have been disappearing, and with them, entire mining operations vanish without explanation. The chamber buzzed with concerned murmurs. Commander Thane, the military advisor whose scarred face spoke of countless battles, leaned forward in his seat. Chancellor, our investigation teams have found no evidence of conventional attacks, no weapon signatures, no debris patterns consistent with known hostile species. From the far corner of the chamber, an elderly voice spoke up. Scholar Vera, the keeper of ancient knowledge, rose slowly from her position. Her silver hair caught the light as she moved, and her ancient eyes held a spark of something the others couldn't quite understand. Perhaps, Honorable Council, we should consider the old stories. A ripple of dismissive laughter ran through the chamber. Crix raised his hand for silence, though his expression showed mild irritation. Scholar Vera, we appreciate your vast knowledge of our history, but surely you don't suggest we take children's tales seriously in matters of galactic security. Vera's gaze never wavered. The stories speak of a race that came from the darkness between stars. They called themselves humans. The legends say they were neither the strongest nor the most advanced, but they possessed something that made them dangerous, something called ingenuity. Commander Thane scoffed openly. Fairy tales, Scholar. If such a race existed, we would have encountered them by now. Our exploration fleets have mapped every system within 1,000 light years. Have they? Vera asked quietly. The old texts speak of humans as wanderers, nomads who lived between the stars. They built no permanent homes, claimed no fixed territories. They were said to be adaptable. The word hung in the air like a challenge. Crix studied the old scholar with new interest. Even if such beings existed, what relevance would they have to our current situation? Before Vera could answer, an urgent chime echoed through the chamber. A young communications officer burst through the doors, his face pale with excitement and fear. Chancellor, urgent message from Deep Space Station Omega-7. They've found something. The discovery, 3 hours later, the Council had reconvened in the secure command center deep beneath the capital city. The massive holographic display showed the outer rim of Zephyrian space, where their most distant monitoring stations kept watch for threats. Station Omega-7 appeared as a small blue dot, surrounded by the vast emptiness of the galactic edge. Station Commander Ralk's image flickered into view, his usually composed demeanor cracked with uncertainty. Council members, what we've discovered defies easy explanation. 2 days ago, our long-range sensors detected a massive object drifting in uncharted space. We sent a probe to investigate. The holographic display shifted, showing the sensor readings from the probe. What appeared was unlike anything in the Zephyrian databases. The ship, if it could be called that, was enormous. Nearly 3 kilometers long, it had a design that seemed both ancient and impossibly advanced. Its hull bore strange markings and symbols that hurt the eyes to look at directly. The vessel appears to be derelict, Commander Ralk continued. No power signatures, no life signs. But the technology... He paused, clearly struggling with his words. It's beyond our understanding. The hull material is unknown to our science. The energy conduits use principles we can't even begin to comprehend. Scholar Vera moved closer to the display, her eyes wide with recognition. The markings, she whispered. I've seen them before in the oldest archives. These are human symbols. The chamber fell silent. Chancellor Crix stared at the ancient ship, feeling something cold settle in his chest. That's impossible. You're saying this derelict belongs to a mythical race. Not mythical, Vera corrected firmly. Hidden. The texts speak of the humans, Great journey, how they left their dying world and sailed into the void. This ship, it's a generation vessel. A world ship designed to carry thousands across the emptiness between galaxies. Commander Thane stepped forward, his military training taking over. If this is real, if humans exist, why haven't they made contact? Why allow their ship to drift dead in space? The answer came from an unexpected source. The probe investigating, the derelict ship had managed to access some of its systems. Suddenly, the holographic display filled with images of the ship's interior. Vast corridors, empty chambers, and at the center, a massive chamber filled with thousands of cylindrical pods. "Stasis chambers," breathed the station commander. "They're all empty, but the technology is still active. Whatever was sleeping in these pods, it's gone." The awakening is, the Council struggled to process this discovery. Alarms began sounding throughout the command center. The duty officer's voice crackled through the speakers with barely controlled panic. "Chancellor, we're detecting massive energy signatures on the galactic rim. Multiple contacts moving at incredible speed." The holographic display shifted again, showing the outer edge of their territory. What they saw made even the stoic commander, Thane, take a step backward. Dozens of contacts were emerging from the dark space beyond their borders, ships of various sizes and configurations, all bearing the same strange design principles as the derelict they had just discovered. "They're not attacking," reported the sensor officer, his voice filled with confusion. "They're broadcasting some kind of signal." The signal resolved into a voice that spoke in a language none of them recognized, yet somehow through the universal translators, the meaning became clear. The voice was calm, measured, but carried an undertone of something that made the Zephyrians uncomfortable. It was the sound of absolute confidence. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Human Colonial Fleet. We have been monitoring your investigation of our lost vessel. We wish to establish peaceful contact with your species. Please respond." Chancellor Crix felt the ground shifting beneath his feet. Everything they had believed about their place in the galaxy was changing. He looked at Scholar Vera, who stood with tears in her ancient eyes. "You knew," he said quietly. "Somehow you knew this day would come." "The stories never said they were gone," Vera replied. "They said they were waiting for the right time to return to the galaxy." Commander Thane was already moving toward the communication console. "Chancellor, we need to respond carefully. We don't know their intentions, their capabilities, or their numbers." But before Crix could give the order, the holographic display changed once more. The human ships were moving, forming a complex pattern that spoke of military precision and technological superiority. They weren't threatening, but they were making their presence unmistakably known. "They're not asking for permission," observed the sensor officer. "They're announcing their arrival." Chancellor Crix straightened, drawing upon 3 millennia of Zephyrian dignity and protocol. Whatever these humans represented, whatever changes they might bring to the galaxy, the Zephyrian Empire would meet them with strength and wisdom. "Open a channel," he commanded. "Let us greet these legends made flesh." The response. The communication link established, and the main display filled with the image of a human. Commander Sarah Chen was smaller than the Zephyrians, with shorter limbs and a more compact build. Her skin was darker than theirs, and her hair was black where theirs was silver or blue. But her eyes held depths that spoke of experiences beyond the Zephyrian understanding. "Chancellor Crix," she began, somehow knowing his name and title. "I am Commander Sarah Chen. I speak for the human fleet that now stands at your borders. We have been watching your people for some time, learning your language, understanding your culture." The implication sent a chill through the chamber. How long had these humans been observing them without being detected? "Commander Chen," Crix replied, keeping his voice steady, "your presence here is unexpected. The human race was thought to be legend, stories told to explain the unknown." Sarah Chen smiled, and it was not entirely reassuring. "We've heard those stories, They're quite fascinating, actually. Some are even partially true. We did leave our dying world. We did wander the void for generations. But we never left the galaxy. We simply learned to live in the spaces between your civilizations. What do you want? Commander Thane interjected, his military instincts overriding diplomatic protocol. The human commander's expression grew more serious. We want what we've always wanted, Commander. To survive, to grow, to explore. For 3,000 years, we've watched the galactic civilizations rise and fall. We've seen wars that consumed entire systems, plagues that wiped out species, and tyrants who crushed the spirit of entire races. We've remained hidden because we learned that sometimes the galaxy isn't ready for change. And now? Asked Scholar Vera, stepping forward with genuine curiosity. Now things are different. The Zephyrian Empire has brought a measure of stability to this region. Your people value knowledge and order. We believe the time has come for humanity to step out of the shadows. Chancellor Crix felt the weight of history pressing down upon him. This moment would be remembered for millennia, studied by scholars, and debated by philosophers. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? Integration, Sarah Chen replied, simply. Not conquest, not domination. Partnership. Humans have spent 3,000 years learning to adapt, to innovate, to solve problems in ways that others might not consider. We offer our knowledge and abilities in exchange for a place in the galactic community. The chamber erupted in whispered conversations as the council members struggled to process this unprecedented offer. Commander Thane was the first to voice the obvious concern. How do we know you can be trusted? You've been spying on us for millennia. Because, Sarah Chen replied, if we had wanted to conquer or destroy, we would have done so already. We've had countless opportunities. Instead, we chose to watch, to learn, to wait for the right moment to reveal ourselves peacefully. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring once again. The duty officer's voice cut through the noise with urgent intensity. Chancellor, we're detecting incoming hostiles. Rogue fleet designation unknown. They're heading directly for our outer colonies. The holographic display shifted to show a new threat. A ragged collection of ships, clearly pirates or raiders, was accelerating toward one of the Zephyrian mining worlds. The colonists there were defenseless, protected only by a small security force that would be overwhelmed in minutes. Chancellor Crix turned to Commander Chen, whose image still dominated the main screen. This would be the first test of these legendary humans. Commander, if you truly seek partnership, now would be an appropriate time to demonstrate your intentions. Sarah Chen's expression hardened into something that made even the battle-hardened Commander Thane feel a chill of recognition. It was the look of a predator that had just found its prey. Consider it done, Chancellor. You're about to see why the stories about humans might not have been exaggerated after all. When legends become reality, the fleet responds within moments. Of Chancellor Crix's request, the human fleet began to move. What the Zephyrians had initially seen as a peaceful formation suddenly transformed into something entirely different. Ships that had appeared to be simple exploratory vessels revealed hidden weapon systems, while larger vessels deployed smaller craft that moved with a precision and speed that defied conventional understanding. Commander Sarah Chen's voice came through the communication channel, but now there was an edge to it that spoke of experience in countless battles. Chancellor, I'm transferring tactical command to Captain Marcus Stone. He'll coordinate with your defense forces. The display split, showing both Sarah Chen and a new human face. Captain Stone was older, with graying hair and scars that told stories of conflicts fought in the darkness between stars. His eyes held the calm confidence of someone who had faced impossible odds and survived. Zephyrian Defense Command. Stone's voice carried the authority of absolute competence. This is Captain Stone of the human fleet. We're moving to intercept the hostile force. Please coordinate your defensive positions with our tactical display. Commander. Thane found himself automatically responding to the human's professional tone. Captain Stone, our defense satellites are minimal in that sector. The raiders will reach the colony before we can mobilize a proper response. Understood, Commander. We'll handle the intercept. Your job is to protect the colonists once we engage. These raiders are about to learn why humans earned their reputation in the old stories. The holographic display showed the approaching raider fleet, 15 ships of various sizes, all clearly modified for maximum destructive capability. They were moving fast, their weapons already charging for the assault on the defenseless mining colony. Against them, only 3 human ships had broken from the main fleet. Scholar Vera moved closer to the display, her ancient eyes studying the tactical situation. 3 ships against 15, she murmured. The humans are either supremely confident or completely insane. Commander Thane was running calculations in his head. Even with superior technology, the odds are overwhelming. They'll be destroyed. But Chancellor Crix was watching something else entirely. The human ships weren't moving in formation the way Zephyrian vessels would. Instead, they seemed to be improvising, adapting their approach in real time as they gathered information about their enemies. It was like watching a chess master play against novices, always thinking several moves ahead. The engagement. The first human ship to engage the raiders was smaller than any Zephyrian warship, barely a babayam, third the size of the smallest raider vessel, but when it opened fire, the results were devastating. Instead of the energy beams or projectile weapons that the Zephyrians expected, the human ship deployed something entirely different. "What kind of weapon is that?" breathed Commander Thane, watching as the raider ships began to experience cascading system failures. Captain Stone's voice came through the communications channel, with what might have been amusement. "Adaptive nanomachine swarm. We call it the wrench. It doesn't destroy the enemy ships so much as convince them to take themselves apart." 3 raider vessels went dark in as many seconds, their crews struggling with systems that had suddenly developed minds of their own. But the remaining raiders adapted quickly, spreading their formation to avoid the nanomachine deployment and focusing their fire on the small human ship. That's when the second human vessel revealed its purpose. Rather than engaging directly, it began broadcasting something that made the Zephyrian sensors scream warnings. The raiders' formation began to wobble as their navigation systems struggled with conflicting information. "Electromagnetic warfare," explained a voice from the human fleet. "Dr. Elena Vasquez here. We're feeding their computers so much false data that they can't tell which way is up." The third human ship, the largest of the 3, had remained at the edge of the engagement zone. Now it moved forward with deliberate purpose. Instead of weapons, it deployed what looked like a net made of pure energy. The confused raiders, their systems compromised and their formations disrupted, found themselves herded into an increasingly tight space. "Containment field," Captain Stone explained. "We prefer to capture rather than destroy when possible. Live prisoners provide intelligence, and disabled ships can be converted to useful purposes." Within minutes, the engagement was over. 15 raider ships had been neutralized by 3 human vessels using tactics that no Zephyrian military academy had ever conceived. The raiders were trapped, their ships disabled but their crews alive, waiting for the authorities to decide their fate. Commander Thane stared at the tactical display in stunned silence. "I've never seen anything like it. They didn't just win the battle, they controlled every aspect of it." "This is what the stories meant," Scholar Vera said quietly. "Human ingenuity. They don't just fight, they think, they adapt, they find solutions that others never even consider." The Revelation Chancellor Crix opened a communication channel to the human fleet. Commander Sarah Chen's face appeared on the display, and now the Zephyrian leader could see something in her expression that he had missed before. It wasn't arrogance or superiority. It was the quiet confidence of someone who had faced the unknown countless times and found ways to survive. "Commander Chen," Crix began, "your fleet has demonstrated capabilities beyond our understanding. How is such tactical innovation possible?" Sarah Chen smiled, and this time it was warm and genuine. "Chancellor, for 3,000 years, humans have had to survive in environments that would kill most species. We've lived in the void between stars, scavenged resources from dead worlds, and faced threats that no one else has ever encountered. Adaptation isn't just something we do, It's who we are. Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared beside Sarah Chen on the display. She was younger than the commander, with curious eyes and an expression of barely contained excitement. If I may, Commander, I'd like to explain something to our new friends. Sarah Chen nodded, and Dr. Vasquez addressed the Zephyrian Council directly. Your people have built a magnificent civilization based on order and logic. But humans learned early that the universe doesn't follow logical rules. Space is vast, chaotic, and full of unexpected dangers. We survived by learning to improvise, to find creative solutions to impossible problems. But how did you remain hidden for so long? Commander Thane asked, his military mind still struggling to understand the implications. Captain Stone answered, this question. Commander, your people build space stations and claim systems. You think in terms of territory and borders. Humans learned to think differently. We built mobile habitats, generation ships, stations that could be moved or hidden. We became nomads, wanderers who could disappear into the vast emptiness between your worlds. We've been living in asteroid fields, using dead systems as bases, and building habitats in the spaces you considered empty, Sarah Chen added. We've watched dozens of civilizations rise and fall, learned from their mistakes, and prepared for the day when we could emerge safely. Scholar Vera stepped forward, her expression filled with wonder. The old stories spoke of humans as teachers and guides. They said that when the galaxy was ready, humans would emerge to help others find new paths forward. That's our hope, Sarah Chen replied. We've spent millennia learning about the galaxy and its peoples. We've studied your languages, your cultures, your philosophies. We don't want to conquer or control. We want to contribute. The test chancellor, Crix, was struggling with the magnitude of what he was learning. Commander Chen, your people have clearly developed capabilities far beyond ours. What assurance do we have that you won't eventually decide to impose your will upon the galaxy? Before Sarah Chen could answer, alarms began blaring once again throughout the Zephyrian Command Center. But this time, the threat was different. A massive asteroid had been knocked out of orbit and was heading directly toward the Zephyrian homeworld. The impact would be catastrophic, potentially ending their civilization. Sensor analysis shows the asteroid was deliberately moved, reported the duty officer, his voice tight with panic. Someone used gravity manipulation technology to send it toward us. Commander Thane immediately suspected the captured raiders. It must be a revenge attack, a dead man switch activated when their fleet was captured. But Dr. Vasquez was already analyzing the situation. The gravity manipulation is too sophisticated for raiders. This is someone else, someone with advanced technology and a clear desire to test both our species. Chancellor Crix felt the weight of despair settling over him. The Zephyrian fleet was too far away to intercept the asteroid, and their planetary defense systems weren't designed to handle a threat of this magnitude. That's when Sarah Chen spoke up. Chancellor, we can stop the asteroid, but it will require perfect coordination between our species. Are you willing to trust us completely even though we've only just met? The question hung in the air. Everything the Zephyrians had believed about their place in the galaxy had changed in a single day. Now they were being asked to place their entire civilization in the hands of a species they had thought was mythical. What do you need? Crix asked without hesitation. The solution. The next few hours would be remembered as one of the most remarkable displays of interspecies cooperation in galactic history. The human fleet deployed technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics, while the Zephyrians provided precision calculations and logistical support that human systems couldn't match. Dr. Vasquez coordinated the scientific response. We're going to use gravitational resonance to break the asteroid into manageable pieces. But we need your people to calculate the exact frequency patterns required. Scholar Vera, despite her advanced age, threw herself into the calculations with an enthusiasm that amazed her younger colleagues. The mathematics are beautiful, she announced. Humans don't just solve problems, they find elegant solutions. Captain Stone handled the military coordination. We'll use our ships to create a containment field around the asteroid fragments. Your defense platforms can then pick off the pieces that pose a threat to populated areas. Commander Thane found himself working alongside human tactical specialists. His initial suspicion replaced by professional respect. Their strategies are unconventional, but incredibly effective. They see possibilities that we would never consider. The operation required split-second timing and absolute trust. Human ships positioned themselves dangerously close to the asteroid, while Zephyrian calculation teams worked around the clock to provide the precise data needed for the gravitational manipulation. When the moment came, the coordination was perfect. The asteroid shattered into millions of harmless fragments, most of which burned up harmlessly in the planet's atmosphere. The largest pieces were intercepted by the combined fleet, turned into a spectacular meteor shower that lit up the sky, but posed no threat to the surface. As the crisis passed, Chancellor Crick stood on the observation deck of his command center, watching the light show in the sky above his world. Commander Sarah Chen materialized beside him as a hologram, her expression peaceful. "Your people and mine just saved an entire civilization," she said quietly. "Working together, we accomplished something that neither could have done alone." "Is this what you meant by integration?" Crix asked. "It's a beginning," Sarah Chen replied. "Humans have learned that survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about being able to adapt, to find new solutions, and to work with others who bring different strengths to the table." The new era. In the days that followed, the galaxy would never be the same. The emergence of humanity sent shockwaves through every major civilization. Some reacted with fear, others with curiosity, but all had to acknowledge that the balance of power had fundamentally shifted. The Zephyrian Empire became the first to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Chancellor Crix and Commander Sarah Chen signed a treaty that would serve as a model for future human-alien cooperation. The document established principles of mutual respect, shared knowledge, and coordinated exploration of the unknown regions of space. Scholar Vera was appointed as the first director of human studies, tasked with documenting and understanding the incredible journey of humanity through the dark years. Her first report to the Council contained a phrase that would echo through history. "Humans are not conquerors or destroyers. They are survivors who learned to thrive in the spaces between our worlds. They are the teachers we never knew we needed." Commander Thane, initially skeptical of human intentions, became one of their strongest advocates after working alongside Captain Stone during the asteroid crisis. "They don't think like us," he reported to the military council. "They see opportunities where we see obstacles. They find solutions where we see only problems." Dr. Elena Vasquez established the first human Zephyrian joint research facility, where scientists from both species worked together to unlock the mysteries of the universe. Her first breakthrough came within weeks of the facility's opening, a new form of faster-than-light travel that combined human innovation with Zephyrian precision. But perhaps the most significant change was in the stories that were told. The whispered legends of dangerous humans gave way to new tales of partnership and discovery. Children of both species grew up hearing stories of the day the legends came to life, and the galaxy became a larger, more wonderful place. Commander Sarah Chen, reflecting on the remarkable turn of events, sent a message to the scattered human fleets throughout the galaxy. "The long exile is over. We have found our place among the stars, not as conquerors but as partners in the greatest adventure of all, the exploration of the infinite unknown." The galaxy had gained not just a new species, but a new perspective on what was possible when different peoples worked together. The age of isolation was ending and the age of cooperation was just beginning. In the vast darkness of space where new wonders waited to be discovered, humanity had finally come home.